A warm welcome. Today it's all about how you can prevent certain illnesses or how you can become your own truly successful doctor. By the way, a quick note on my own behalf. We are looking for a female or male physical therapist for our health center here in Bad Homburg. And a doctor, male or female, who is knowledgeable about nutrition and would also like to offer our pain therapy. There is a link below the video that will take you to our job postings, and you can apply there as well. I would be happy to hear from you. Thank you so much. So now to the actual topic. During this video, I will tell you about a case study that still deeply moves me to this day. How amazing it is that our body is able to heal itself even in the case of serious illnesses. That's what it's all about. First, let's talk about the diseases you've probably already heard of and that you can prevent. Even if you already have them, they can be cured. I'm talking about diseases like heart disease, obesity, of course, diabetes, rheumatism, Parkinson's, multiple sclerosis, chronic pain, osteoarthritis, and even cancer, just to name the most important ones. All of them are up to 80 or 90% diet-related and are considered diseases of affluence or so-called lifestyle diseases. Even infectious diseases are subject to the principles of a healthy lifestyle. Because by doing so, we sharpen and strengthen our immune system, which is largely responsible for how well we can defend ourselves against harmful germs like viruses and bacteria. And that's why nutritional medicine combined with our special exercise routines has been the foundation of my medical work for over 30 years. And experience has shown time and again that this approach is the most effective medicine, and it's natural, addresses the root cause, and above all has no side effects. For a long time I was quite alone with this attitude. And even today, the elite of medical research is searching in the smallest details. And as a result, it almost completely ignores the infinite variety of synergistic interactions among all functional levels of us humans. What is meant by this is the power of our lifestyle. I know that my approach is much more inconvenient than simply taking the prescribed medication day after day. But I always have to point out that every medication, even if it is extremely important at certain times in life, always comes with side effects. And now to the case study that I promised you. She was 26 years old at the time and came to Germany in the spring of 2014 for love. I'm talking about my patient, whom I would like to tell you about now. Of course, she had a reason, but you'll find out in a moment why she came to see me. The only thing that stood out to me at the time during the medical history, that is the taking of her medical history, was the many vaccinations she had received within 4 months. Against measles, against polio infection, against diphtheria, against pertussis and tetanus. A week after the last vaccination, the first symptoms such as double vision and dizziness appeared, which she had checked by her general practitioner, ear, nose and throat doctor, ophthalmologist, internist and neurologist. All examinations showed no relevant or pathological findings. None of the doctors who treated her saw a connection to the vaccinations, especially since all symptoms had completely disappeared a month later, that is by mid-January. So no one thought about it anymore. But it was only a very short time that the young woman was without symptoms. In April 2015, she noticed the onset of severe abnormal sensations and pain in both legs. In August, she also developed severe headaches that lasted for 3 weeks without interruption. There was a short break, but the abnormal sensations and pain in her legs continued. But in October, severe headaches occurred again, this time accompanied by intense neck pain. As a result, she was admitted to a hospital in November 2015. After all the examinations were completed, the diagnosis of multiple sclerosis was made. The first treatment with a so-called immunomodulatory therapy was then started immediately. By the way, in such therapies, the immune system is always suppressed or inhibited because multiple sclerosis is also considered an autoimmune disease. The young woman came to my practice for the first time in December 2015. Of course, I always work together with the patient to look for the possible reason, that is, the cause of the development of the disease. After the detailed medical history, the only thing that really stood out to me was the coincidence of the second vaccination with the first appearance of the symptoms. Whether it could have been a vaccine reaction that triggered the symptoms of multiple sclerosis or not was not further investigated, and my colleagues dismissed it as nonsense right away. So we didn't get any further with that, and by the way, I still don't know to this day. However, both the young woman, who is now happily married, and I do not rule out this possibility. But even if that had been the case, the therapy so far at least did not bring any improvement. And what did I do with my patient? I recommended to her what I usually do, an immediate switch to a raw, whole food, plant-based diet. Due to the seriousness of the diagnosis at this age, my instructions were understandably much stricter this time. With absolute avoidance of empty carbohydrates like white flour products and sugar in all its forms. The next recommendation was legumes with vegetables and salads in the evening. And of course, it was also about strictly following intermittent fasting, preferably with longer fasting periods of 18 to 20 hours. Of course, to give the body a long period of time in which it can heal itself, because that's the wonderful thing about intermittent fasting, that autophagy occurs. And autophagy is exactly what we need to regenerate, repair, and also to heal. The longer you fast, the more time your body has for this process. By the way, we also developed an additional personalized exercise program together. What I also did, I supplemented the missing micronutrients that I found in her through a lab test. She was missing, and when micronutrients are missing, that's definitely a warning sign, because we only see a deficiency when more than 40% is already too low in the body. And she was low on vitamin D, of course. Vitamin K, B12, B3, especially Q10, potassium, magnesium, and selenium. Yes, and how did it go on? First, the pain in this young woman's legs subsided. Shortly after, the abnormal sensations also stopped, and her overall health improved week by week and month by month. The patient stopped the interferon therapy prescribed by the neurologist in 2017, and in all magnetic resonance imaging follow-up examinations, no new demyelinating lesions as seen in multiple sclerosis were found. And the patient is doing really, really well to this day. She no longer has any symptoms of multiple sclerosis. She became pregnant a year later and gave birth to a healthy, beautiful boy the following year. She felt absolutely wonderful throughout her entire pregnancy. During this time, she was thankfully rarely aware of her Damocles sword, multiple sclerosis, because she felt so well and was so content and happy. This is a very unusual case, a very unusual woman, and a very unusual course of recovery. But she is not the only patient in whom I have been able to witness and observe extreme improvements in this condition after changing diet and lifestyle. But honestly, it has been the most impressive course, and just like with her, this concept also works for cardiovascular diseases and certain types of cancer. Of course, it's very straightforward with obesity and all its consequences, such as diabetes, fatty liver, metabolic syndrome, autoimmune diseases, and of course, other organ disorders. It's simply about understanding why our body reacts with such diseases in the first place. You know, my many videos which are mostly about nutrition, I keep explaining the healing power of fresh natural foods like fruits, salads, vegetables, and whole foods. If possible, also from certified organic farming, because they're just so powerful. And you know that I sometimes receive harsh criticism for consuming animal proteins like fish, meat, milk, and dairy products, and eggs. I've only been able to withstand all the hostility and condescending smiles because my patients have repeatedly proven to me that this therapy concept usually works without any medication or surgery. It unfolds such a high level of effectiveness that conventional medicine doesn't consider possible. How wonderful that science is now increasingly confirming my experiences through studies that is evidence-based. Research science always needs time, after all. At least it has used the last 50 years to finally support and confirm my experiential medicine with science. But the best part is that it also makes things safer for the patients. And they don't always just choose the easier path of medication therapy, but finally start to take their health more and more into their own hands. I know very well that with all the thoughts I keep sharing with you and with the experiences I describe, I'm not exactly giving you the most convenient tips and advice, but they are super effective. And that's why I'm happy if you share this video. I'm happy if you subscribe to my channel. Honestly, I'm always happy to get a thumbs up. Yes, and if you want to see more of my videos, you can do that up here. And otherwise, I wish you to gain confidence in yourself and take your health into your own hands. And until then, stay healthy, of course. Bye.